All right, so welcome to our Summer Solstice Ceremony. I wanted to start with some movement to get us going to kind of connect mind, body, and spirit. Let's see, I'm gonna start. It's gonna be really gentle, simple movements and nothing like full yoga. You can do, there's a little bit of standing, but a lot of it you can do seated as well. So it'll feel kind of, you might even feel like you're in a kindergarten class the way I'm asking you to move. It's really basic, but part of it is just trying to connect with some of the themes of this time, kind of bring that into your body. If you're like me, I've been sitting in front of a computer all day and it is so hot, so I don't like go out for little walks just because it's so warm. So I think it'll be nice to kind of get into our flesh and our bones. And to start, you can be seated or standing. And if you feel weird with your camera on, you can always turn it off. But I want us to be thinking about the idea of a circle and a cycle. And of course, the summer solstice takes place for us because the earth rotates around the sun in a somewhat circular fashion. And so, because of that, we honor this moment in time and we watch how we honor all the moments on our calendar as we kind of cycle through the annual orbit around the sun. So, we're just going to do some circular movements with our body, starting with our head, and just be circling your head around your neck several times. And you can even be thinking about orbits, the earth orbiting the sun. You can reverse your movement going the other direction. And then when you're ready, do some circles also with your shoulders, going backwards a few times, going forwards a few times. Just take your time, go at whatever pace you like. You can hear my dog barking again, so I'm going to bring you with me. And then you can do this seated or standing, but I think it also might feel nice to just kind of turn your ribs kind of in a circle. Mabel agrees. And a few times the other direction. And then bring that into your hips. And a few times in the opposite direction. Okay. So this next movement, it will be helpful to stand up, and I'm basically encouraging you to kind of tuck into a seed shape, like get very small, maybe crouch to the ground, and then you're gonna kind of stand up and explode at whatever speed into a sun shape. So kind of kneeling down at first, and you can roll up with your spine if you like. And kind of express your sunshine however you want. And kind of tuck back into a ball. And then radiate upwards, feeling how small and dense you can be. and how big and bold and bright you can be. Do this a few more times. And as you do, share a few summer solstice insights with you. The solstice happens because the earth is turning on an axis that is angled. And so right now the northern axis is tilted closest to the sun. And after this point, the days will start to get shorter and shorter. But during the summer solstice, we experience the longest day of the year. And that will actually happen. The northern axis, or the North Pole will be turned closest to the sun at about 10:30 on Sunday evening. So Monday would be a good time to, if you're bold enough, at noon, go stand out under the sun. It may be the closest the sun will be to us all year. The Egyptian pyramids were built in such a way that when they were viewed from the perspective of the Sphinx, on the day of the summer solstice, the sun appears to set between the two pyramids. And there are many cultures around the world where we can find buildings, human constructed edifices that align with the summer solstice. So our ancestors and humans across cultures and time have been honoring this particular moment in the year for thousands and thousands of years. And it also can welcome like the height and fullness of life. So we've definitely come out of winter and we have moved through spring. So the things that we've planted and put into the earth in the early part of the year are coming into bloom. We're seeing a lot of flowers. Our gardens are exploding. There are butterflies hopefully moving around the plants, and bees as well. And that's another way that we can think about cycles and circles. All of the life that we experience around us is all connected to us, whether we want to believe so or not. But when we plant flowers or flowering plants in our yard, we attract bees that bring about more flowers, that make it possible for butterflies to be cultivated and for other insects to flourish, and those insects feed the birds, and that moves all the way through the food chain. So we're all connected in this cycle and circle of life. In parts of China, they celebrate summer solstice with something called the dragon boat races, where these long boats that have dragon faces built on the front of the boat race down the river. They're painted in bright colors. There are big groups of people paddling the boats. Many of the boats have drummers that keep time for the rowers. So lots of fiery colors, lots of vibrancy, and the drumming and the movement is a really beautiful way to celebrate the solstice. In Iceland, which is like just south of the Arctic Circle, just south of that tilted axis that's turning toward the sun right now, there are 3 days of midnight sun. And so they host a secret solstice music festival for 3 days that happens, late into the night. And in Fairbanks, Alaska, they play a late night baseball game. They've been doing that for the past 100 years. It's called the Midnight Sun game. And the team is the Alaska Gold Panners, and they usually bring a team from out of state to come, and the game starts about 10:30 at night. So lots of different ways that people worship the sun and really honor the sun's light. It's obviously kind of the sun is a huge ball of fire. I don't have to tell you, but for some of us who live in warmer climates, that intense heat is really powerful. It's something we can't even really withstand for very long. But of course, the sun's light is what causes our plants to grow and that whole cycle of life to continue. And I want us to kind of move inward, and I'm going to have you sit where you are and sit comfortably and stack your spine over your hips. If you can, plant both of your feet on the floor. And close your eyes. And I want you to begin to take a few deep breaths. Notice the coolness of the air that is moving in through your body, down through your body, filling your lungs, bringing life, energy through your limbs, down through your hips, down your legs, and then exhaling. With each breath, just letting that air wash through you, cooling any parts that feel extra warm, warming any parts that feel cool, caressing any parts that feel tight. And with each exhale, releasing any energy that you do not need. So within each of us, we have a solar plexus, and that is the part of the body just below the diaphragm, beneath your lungs, and above the belly button, the kind of middle of your body. You can think about the sun of yourself living in this space, and all the rest of you kind of orbiting around this core, this fiery core. The solar plexus chakra is associated with the color yellow, and it is associated with your willpower, your drive, your conviction, your sense of purpose and strength. And so, over the next few breaths, I want you to breathe into that space. Imagine your breath traveling into that middle core part of yourself. And with each inhale, imagine a little fiery sun inside you, starting to burn, starting to flicker, burning brighter and brighter, warming the rest of your body. And as you connect with that part of yourself, notice what it feels like to bring attention to that part of your body. Do you feel tight there? Is this a part of your body that you haven't thought about in a while? Does it feel alive, vibrant, or does it feel a little neglected? Whatever you find there is okay. Just let your breath bring new energy, new fire. And think a little bit about how this solar plexus, this burning sun within you, how it has served you in your life or even recently. How might you have tapped into this part of yourself to be a little bolder, be a little more forceful, to be vibrant, to really access your strength? So, in pagan thinking and pagan, in the pagan approach to this sacred day, the goddess is said to be at her peak fertility, and the god is at his greatest strength, at the strength of his power. This is a time associated with the fullness of life, with being like pregnant with life, the kind of peak of life before things again begin to decline or wither or wilt. After this season, we will move into harvest times. And all of the bright colors, the oranges, the yellows, the reds that are growing and blooming around us, alive with bees and songbirds and young birds, young animals making their way in the world. Let some of that fullness, that aliveness, and that connection to the vibrancy all around you start to fill that space in your body, that solar plexus space. And imagine that solar plexus as the sun in your own universe that you inhabit. And imagine the kinds of things that it is bringing life to around you, whether that's your work, your friendships, the plants you water, the gardens you are growing, the laughter that you bring into conversation. How does your sun shine its light around you? Now you can give thanks to this part of yourself that provides your fuel, your drive, your ambition, your strength, your conviction, your forcefulness when you need it. Just give it some gratitude and appreciation. If you feel you need to draw on this part of yourself in the near future, you might make a request. How can this part of you serve you even more fully in the days and weeks ahead? We're going to keep our eyes closed a little bit longer, but you can release your attention to your physical body. Just kind of let your mind float. And I'll guide you through a little visualization exercise, and we'll come back together. So I want to start with the Sun card in tarot. On this card, we typically see a young child seated on a horse, and the young child is stark naked, flinging his arms wide, with a giant sun smiling behind him in the background. Usually he or she may be carrying a large flag that's red, orange, waving in the sunlight. And this is a card that comes near the end of the major arcana. So it's an energy that we reach as we're approaching that energy of the world, which is that energy of fulfillment, cohesion, completion, gaining a really broad perspective about who we are, what the world is, what the universe is, and how we are all connected and moving through it. So the sun looks like a somewhat childish energy. It looks like maybe it should be really early in the tarot progression because it's so youthful and so vibrant and playful. But really, it comes to us after a great deal of challenge and many lessons learned. We go through the death card, the tower card, the moon card, a number of cards that really transform our experience and our knowledge of ourselves. And the sun really represents the reconnection with our youthful self. Even after all of these trials and tribulations and challenges that um, bring us through adulthood and really show us how complex and complicated life can be, even after a great deal of suffering and hardship, still we can return to this energy of the sun, this youthful, playful part of ourselves, this essence of who we are that was here when we arrived on Earth and remains with us through all challenges, all difficulties. We can certainly lose connection with that part of ourselves, but it is always with us, and it's even more beautiful when we connect with this aspect of our spirit, especially after we've been through something really difficult and challenging. So, as you close your eyes, I just want you to visualize yourself in a summery place where the world feels alive. It may feel warm, but not too hot. Kind of perfect summer place for you. Let your imagination bring that to life within you. Notice all the details, the aspects of what you see and hear. And in this beautiful summery landscape, you find yourself as you were many years ago, when you were young and small, when you felt bright and free, when we were also free of a lot of the knowledge we have today about the world and what life might be like. How does it feel to be this small, free, bright version of yourself? Where do you find joy? How does it feel to express that joy? What delights you? What excites you? then bring into this summery landscape without grasping too hard for it. Just create an openness for an animal of some kind to join you. You don't have to think of the right one, but see what visits. How does this animal present itself to you? Is it calm and quiet or playful? It's here as an extension of your power and your freedom, like an appendage that increases both for you. When you're in partnership with this animal, you are more free to express yourself, to be yourself, to be playful, to be exuberant. What do you notice about your connection with this creature? How does that connection exhibit itself? Is it mental? Is it a physical connection? A spiritual connection? All of the above. And whatever that connection is, ask your companion, how do we achieve our highest freedom? How can I achieve my greatest freedom? Just extend this question to your friend and see how they respond. Your visitation with this creature will be ending shortly, but see what you can keep of this connection and see where you can keep it within you. Where can you tuck it away and maintain that connection? And we're going to come back into the room in just a moment, but you can keep your eyes closed for just another minute or so. I'm going to read a quote to you. This is the time of summer solstice, the time when the light part of the day is longest. In our part of the world, light is in her fullness. She spreads her radiance, her fruits ripen, her greenery is everywhere. The cicadas sing. Yet as light reaches her peak, our closest contact with the sun, she opens completely, and the seed of darkness is born. As it says in the tradition, this is the time of the rose, blossom and thorn, fragrance and blood. The story of old tells that on this day, goddess and god embrace in a love so complete that all dissolves into the single song of ecstasy that moves the worlds. Our bliss, fully matured, given over, feeds the universe and turns the wheel. We join the beloved and lover in the great giveaway of our creativity, our fullness of being. Just take a few more breaths to come back into your body, come back into the room. Take your time, opening your eyes. Okay. How is everyone feeling? I wanted to give some time for anyone to share any experiences or insights through that meditation or the little bit of movement we did at the beginning. Any interesting animal connections?
My animal connections are microscopic, so it makes me wonder if I want to be tiny right now.
That's interesting. Were they like moving around you? Were you the only one who noticed them?
It's me and this one particular illuminated being, but I knew it was microscopic.
You said you knew it was microscopic. That's really cool. Did it have a message for you?
Actually, yeah, eat.
Okay. Are you hungry?
I think I got hungry in the middle of it, yeah, because when I'm not thinking, my body starts to like get hungry all the time. I don't know why.
Yeah. Wants you to give yourself nourishment. Anyone else? Any...
My place was by the ocean, but the animal that appeared was a very tired European badger. So I don't know what that means.
That is interesting. I wonder. Badgers are so, they kind of remind me of like solar plexus energy because they can be so ferocious. You know, they're like really powerful animals, but your badger was tired.
Yeah,
Maybe your solar plexus has been working extra hard.
I think that's probably true.
Okay.
My badger and I need a vacation.
Yes, a beach vacay.
I had a animal. My animal that came up was an eagle, and it was about fearlessness and stretching and soaring and using the air around you to help lift, being really in tune with what was there and being sharp-eyed. So when we went to tuck it somewhere, mine went right on my back.
Perfect. Powerful wings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, eagles get a good view of everything. That kind of fits really nicely with this idea of like so much light. Like everything is really illuminated at this point. Of course, in the winter months, we think about going into the shadow of the self and, kind of excavating what may be hidden. But right now, we're experiencing all of this illumination. And what we might have dredged up in the winter has been hopefully kind of cleared or seen or confronted, which is always very freeing, just like the eagle.
I think it's trying to tell me to just step forward and not be so concerned
Mm.
about whatever. Drop the fear.
I've been watching some videos of fledgling birds leaving their nests, and it's always so. I mean, they have to really fly for the first time, many of them from a great height. They don't know, they haven't tried flying before, and they just have to trust that their body does what their mother, father's body does. And it's funny to watch them like look around in the little box and like poke their head out the hole and change their mind, and then they go for it. And it's so exhilarating. You're a bird nerd like me. Anyone else?
Well, I was in the woods and I had a little spring there next to me, and a little fox came very close to me and was investigating things in the grass, and was not afraid of me. So that reminded me to pay attention to my own discovery, and be able to set the sense of danger aside while I do that.
Awesome. My mom just had a fox encounter where she lives, and she sent pictures, and they're very like they can see a lot without being seen at the same time. That's kind of one of their powers. Any other, Paula?
My animal,
Oh, go ahead.
my animal, oddly enough, for me was a cat. I was on the boardwalk, and because I don't associate very much with cats, and this cat came up to me and was very gentle and yet very like centered, for lack of a better word, and reached out its paw and put its paw on me. And the next thing I knew, we were, it was very odd, twirling around, and I was holding the cat, which, I mean, I always think of cats as like not things, creatures that you would want to twirl around with, or that they would want to be twirled around. And I got this sense of like trust myself and give in to the fun of it, kind of a double feeling.
I love that. Twirling around cats. It's hard to get away with that. But yeah, you did. So maybe there's more things you can get away with too, experimentally. Yeah. I think we go through, because of the way like school is structured, we grow up with summer being this like time of freedom. We never want it to end. We get to do the things we want. We don't have to like do all that stuff the adults are telling us most of the rest of the year. And then we go to college and we kind of like extend that association with summer. But as we get older and we get jobs, if we're not working in academia or whatever, we have to give up that summer where we get to like explore and be free, and like our parents are still working maybe, but we get to like kind of roam around a little bit more. So I think it's really interesting to try and connect with that after we've been through the world for a while. Melanie, did you want to share something?
Oh yeah. Oh, first of all, Paula, one of my cats does let me twirl with her. But I agree that it's probably rare. And then my animal was a black bear. I just saw one, so I've had black bears on the brain. But I was thinking about it, just the sun on its fur, and then it went like down the mountain, and when they do that, they get all this brush and burrs, and they just go through all that stuff seemingly effortlessly. And I'm still trying to sort it out, but like it seemed like a sort of lesson of like just resilience, and you can really do a lot of things and to not shy away from it, because it's just part of being alive, and it's part of having adventures and free, like sorts of freedom.
I love that image of the bear moving through the brambles or the brush, like the thick, dense things without really having to worry about it.
Yeah.
It just
I really
like
want to touch their fur. You just can't.
cool.
My animal was an otter, and we're just like diving in the ocean. I don't even think otters dive in the ocean. I think they're river animals. I'm not sure. But when I asked the question, the message was just play, which is like really kind of in sync with the way that the animal approach was kind of like all fidgety and like, oh, let's do something, let's do something. That was kind of a good reminder that, it's like life can be like very playful and we can just have fun instead of overthinking it. Very summary.
Yes, I love otters so much. They're so fun to watch them play. We'll move to a tarot spread next here, unless there's anyone else who would like to share. Madeline, were you going to say something?
Yeah, sorry. So mine really tapped into that like inner child energy, that kind of childish energy in the sun. So it was a deer that came to me, and at first it was a fawn, and then it kind of transformed into a buck. And then I like was writing on it, and it just was really that message of like, you have this child with you still, and like embrace it, and like the things that you were passionate and loved when you were a kid, that's still inside of you, and that's still something you should like tap into and like go into that kind of creative play and stuff. So it was cool.
Awesome. I love how the animal became two versions of itself in that one visitation.
Yeah.
Okay, does everyone have their tarot deck handy? Go ahead and grab it. And I have a 4-card spread for us to try. Let's see. Okay, so 4 cards, and these will kind of bring up a few different aspects to look at. So shuffle your cards as you like to, get them ready. And your first question will focus on, will connect to the winter solstice 6 months ago. Thinking back, I'm sure it doesn't feel like 6 months, or it feels like 2 years ago, or probably both at the same time. So we were in late December, it was still 2020. We were getting ready for a new year. And from winter solstice forward, the light began growing more and more each day, reaching its peak up until Monday, when the days will grow shorter again. So this first card is asking what seeds you planted on winter solstice that are blooming today. I know we normally don't really plant things in the middle of winter, but rather thinking about what that time of year, that time of deeper reflection, and it's kind of a time of hermiting. We've had a long time of hermiting, but with the cold weather, being indoors, kind of some things hidden in the shadow coming forward to be seen. What sorts of things did we take from that time that are coming into full bloom today? So you'll choose one card for that. And your second card is, how can I embrace this energy and use it to my benefit? And your third card is, what aspect of my spirit wants to shine brightly? And it might be interesting to see how the card you pull for that third card might connect with something from your visualization. And then the final card is, what begins to recede, leading to the winter solstice. So as the days begin to grow shorter after the summer solstice, what will be receding along with the light? So I'll give you a few minutes to pull your cards. When you're ready, if you'll just name one of your cards in the chat, I'll know that you're ready. You've got strength, you've got the world, you've got death. I also had 9 of Cups somewhere in there. The Empress, 3 of Pentacles. Okay. Go ahead and maybe, if you'd like, take a screenshot of this spread or the graphic you see here in case you want to keep this in your journal or make a note of it. I know you have your cards in front of you, but this will help you remember what they signify. I'm going to bring bring us back together.
Would you share the screen again so I can take a snapshot of
Just
that?
1 second.
Thank you.
I did that pretty quickly. You can't see it, can you? Hold on. Keeps leaving me. Okay. Does anyone, we're going to do a little bit of writing for just a few minutes. Does anyone have any cards that don't make sense to you? Like, I'm hoping that as you see the cards, you get at least some kind of impression or some kind of energetic message related to each question that you've asked. But is anyone terribly confused by something that they pulled? I'm really not sure what to make of something.
I have one card that came up and I'm like, I'm not exactly sure the direction that that's going.
Okay, which one?
I got the King of Wands in the last position,
Mm-hmm.
what begins to recede.
Okay. Yeah, King of Wands is a really wonderful energy, so we don't really like to think about like letting it go. You may have been, I wonder if you've been like doing any kind of like leadership work or having to really like show up in a kind of leadership sense or and that doesn't necessarily mean like in a workplace or in some official capacity, but in any unofficial or casual kind of way. Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah, it does. Kind of like in a friendship where I feel like I was kind of leading a lot of like discussion and almost kind of like coaching-ish. So I think that might be related. The way that when you said it, I was like, well, that's immediately a hit. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe you're done fulfilling that role, or it takes a lot of energy, it requires maybe more energy than you want to be giving. So maybe that's ready to recede so that you can use that kind of leadership energy. The King of Wands is like a leader through a kind of magnetic passion. So someone who really like believes in a vision of the future and does a really good job communicating that vision to the extent that people are like, oh, they really believe it, they really care, I want to be part of this. So it's kind of like that magnetic charm, dynamic passion that can create a sense of leadership. It doesn't always have to come with like great responsibility necessarily, but that kind of presence. So it's a like full fire energy. So you may be ready to turn your fire energy to something else.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. So I'm going to take you through. I had 4 questions to journal about, which we definitely don't have time for. So I'm going to show them to you in order. And actually, let me just put them in the chat. And this can be something that we begin, but that we don't necessarily finish together. So the first question is, what feels like the most important insight, awareness, or sign that I felt tonight? And maybe just take, why don't we all take like 3 minutes to just start writing about that? And then we'll talk about the other questions in just a minute. So you can think about the place that you took yourself in your visualization, the animal that came to you, the message, a sensation, or something in the connection with your solar plexus, any of those things that feel most meaningful. So the next piece of writing that I would encourage you to do is to take that insight or that awareness, and you may be getting, you know, kind of a core sensation of a message with a few different prongs coming off of it, and you can pay attention to all of that, or you may see just like one clear message coming at you, whether it's through your cards, through your visualization, through a dream you might have tonight. But whatever feels like it's coming through, I want you to turn that into a few mantras or affirmations. And those are sentences that begin with I am, or I can, or I value. The key here is to use the I pronoun and to use a verb that is in the present tense. Not so much I want, because that makes it seem like you don't have, but something that you already are. And you might even look at whatever card came up for you in card, like the third card. What aspect of my spirit wants to shine brightly? Definitely make that one of your mantras too. So I had the Nine of Cups for that one, and I might turn that into a mantra like, I have the emotional capacity to handle any situation. Because that's a card about emotional maturity, more or less. See if you can write at least 3, but maybe more. Does anyone dare to share an affirmation that they have written down?
Sure, I will. So I think perfectly in keeping with my very tired badger, the card that came up for what aspect of my spirit wants to shine brightly was the Four of Swords. Um, so, so one of my mantras that I wrote down was, I am deserving of stillness.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Absolutely. Anyone else? Marissa, did you want to share?
Yeah, the card that came up for me, I'm gonna freeze again, aren't I? Okay. The card that came up in the first position for me was the Three of Pentacles, which I really like for its themes of cooperation, communication, like we're more than greater than the sum of our parts. And so I was thinking about all the different relationships in my life, and the mantra was, I value.
Oh. She'll be back. Say it again. I value. Oh, you're typing it. It was a cliffhanger. You just started. I value the individuals who choose to share their lives with me. That's beautiful. And I like how it allows you to recognize the people who show up in your life who are also choosing you in the way and seeing you in the way that you want to be seen. So it's not just about like managing any kind of relationship. It's about valuing the people who choose you too. Anyone else?
I got the Ten of Wands in that third position. So the affirmation that I created for it was, I can give myself fully.
You can give yourself.
Just kind of like bringing it all to the table.
Let's see. Is that was for what aspect of my spirit wants to shine brightly?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because it's not a very happy card usually, but it kind of made sense in that way for me.
Yeah, you have a lot. You can carry a lot. You have to be careful with that because you don't want to be carrying too much. But yeah, that's great.
I got justice in that third position, which made me feel really tired. But nonetheless, I mustered the strength to write, I am fearless in my pursuit of truth.
Wonderful.
Mm.
Awesome. Okay, anyone else want to share one last one?
I got in the third position the Page of Wands, and this is the best thought I could do, because I'm still not very familiar with the cards. I am happiest when I am motivated and enthusiastic.
Okay, good. Yeah, the Page is kind of like ready to take a leap. He's kind of like another version of the Fool in a way sometimes, but kind of like definitely like a little bit of an adventurer. Yeah, you could even also something like, I am invigorated by new experiences, or yeah, I'm invigorated by adventure and excitement. It's great. So I would encourage you to like leave this page of your notebook open for the next day or so, and as you think about the cards you pulled or the visualization that you experienced, as you kind of reflect on that here and there, other affirmations may come to you that you might want to write down. And these are something you can revisit in when you come around to winter solstice again to kind of see how they played out for you. But of course, it's good to use them. So I would definitely encourage you to maybe read them every morning to yourself, or choose 3 of them that feel maybe the most powerful, so that you just spend a little bit of time on it, but you might have like 3 affirmations that you read aloud to yourself 3 times a day. And you might even associate it with like an action of some kind, whether it's like taking a sip of water to be cleansed, or stretching or moving your body a little bit. But just taking like a minute or less to really let those mantras, those affirmations work on you. And then the other 2 journal prompts or writing prompts that I included here around the affirmations were to choose 3 of them, and then kind of looking into the future, thinking about how you might need to access these truths about yourself in the future, whether it's a kind of situation that you're dealing with or something that you're trying to work through or figure out. In what ways might you need to access these mantras to really support you, or to empower you, or to kind of like drive you forward in a way that feels purposeful and beneficial to you? And then thinking about how you can access them. So I'm taking it kind of all the way. You can have the affirmations, and if you leave them in your journal and never look at them, they're not doing a whole lot of work for you. But if you expose yourself to them and get them running through your mind for a week or a couple weeks, or till the next full or new moon or whatever you want to do, I really feel they are powerful at starting to shift things. You may not notice it day to day to day, but in a little bit of time, you might see that the thing you were telling yourself 2 weeks ago is actually playing out a little bit more in your life than it was before. They're like reminders to yourself. So these other 2 journal questions are kind of helping you like plan for your use of these affirmations. So I might need to access, in Kate's case, will you read that affirmation again, Kate? I am deserving of stillness. Okay. Yeah. If she's saying to herself, I am deserving of stillness every day, and then she takes a minute to be still, then over time, she might find that as people are like, Kate, will you do this for me? Kate, come do this with me. Kate, I know that you know how to do this better than anyone of all my friends. Will you help me? But Kate's been telling herself, I deserve stillness. Then she can maybe say some gentle no's here and there. And in a couple weeks, in a month, she does not feel like tired badger anymore. So it's a little bit of programming, and just a way to kind of love yourself and say like, I deserve stillness, just so you don't forget. So the question is, how might I need to access this? I might need to access this when my friends are calling me asking for favors, when my mom wants me to help her like move her whole apartment, even though it's like not really my responsibility, etc., whatever the case may be. And then thinking about how you can actually access these truths, because if we can't find them, they might not be able to help us. So I can do that by being still for 2 minutes and thinking about whether I really, really want to say yes to this request. I can do that by, like, if in Paula's case, the Page of Wands is encouraging a little bit of adventure, but Paula's feeling like it's just wilting in the Texas heat, but she wants a little bit of adventure, then maybe she can like access that by imagining the fun she has when she goes to the pool, and just deciding to take herself to the pool once a week to jump in that cold water, get refreshed, feel, even if you're not like taking a giant road trip and like in a convertible like Thelma and Louise before it gets scary. You can have little mini adventures where your skin comes alive again from that cold water. So if you continue to kind of work with this, I would encourage you to think about those other 2 questions, so that the full power of what's coming through in these messages is actually very much or fully accessible to you. So I encourage you to, yeah, Kate says, twirl that cat. That's perfect. Any questions about what we've experienced together, the writing prompts, what something might mean in your cards.
I had an observation that I think is so perfect. Like, quite a while ago, I started a meditation routine that was really, really helpful for me. And the card that would always sort of like be my lead into that was the star. And she came up as the second card in this. And honestly, since the pandemic and having a toddler at home and a full-time job working at home and all that, it was just like a reminder that, like, yeah, you haven't been doing that, and that's why you feel like the tired badger. So it just seemed very apt.
Awesome. I love it when cards come back to us to kind of say, like, yeah, I was serious when you saw me before, and like, I haven't forgotten you. Like, I'm here to support you and bring you this energy. That's great. Anything else? Well, I appreciate everyone coming together and spending this time with me. I hope it brought you some good energy and some good insight that you can carry with you through these hot months. So, over the weekend, kiss the sunflowers and soak up a little vitamin D and connect with the sun card and feel your inner child, your playfulness and your freedom. I'm wishing all of that for all of you. So thanks again.
Thank you, Cecily.
Thank you. This was great.
Thank you.
For coming.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, y'all. Good night, Paula.